All right, welcome to a Triple Crown edition of the Friday Show. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. Glad you're with us. As Larry Colma said when American Pharoah crossed the finish line in the Belmont, the 37-year wait is over. The crowd went wild. The national media went crazy for racing for at least a couple of days. Now what? Now, how does racing capitalize on this moment, Ray?
Well, that's a good question. According to NBC Sports, there were something like 45 million viewers for the three Triple Crown races. About 400,000 people attended the three venues for those races. We have a lot of opportunity, but there's no mechanism really to convert those people into not just fans, but people who bet. And betting is what makes this industry work. We need more people to buy tickets.
And to do that, I think tracks need to continue efforts to lower takeout, for one thing. And then, as Gulfstream Park and other tracks have done, focusing on the field size. And some of that is incentivizing owners through purses and other incentives to race so that they don't lose their shirts when they do enter these races. That creates large fields that then attracts the bettors. And those are the two main groups, I think, that need to be targeted, as well as cleaning up the product as a whole with better oversight of medication and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, David Stern, the former NBA commissioner, spoke at a conference just the day before the Belmont Stakes, and he said one of the worst things anyone can do is have good advertising for a bad product. And, I hate to say it, but the Triple Crown is advertising for horse racing, and if you were to go out to any number of tracks the next day, you are going to be witness to a bad product. Small fields, high takeout, and we need to focus, as you said, on making it more possible for people to win. You have to have takeout because you have to pay for things, but you don't have to have 30% takeout like some of these tracks do.
Yeah, and finally, educate people about how to bet, that they can bet online. During the Triple Crown races, the Triple Crown and the boutique meets like Saratoga and Keeneland and Del Mar, they sell themselves. They don't need a big marketing push. But what we do need is, during these races, is to show people how to do it. You don't hear a lot about that. They just show the prices at the end of the race. And meanwhile, American Pharoah is running by a sign of DraftKings, the fantasy football website, which is another new competitor for racing online in terms of wagering. So to me, that's really another key component is education. We've gotten a couple of emails this week asking about American Pharoah's future, specifically whether or not he might run as a 4-year-old. We're hearing that Ahmed Zayat wants to share him with the people and all of that, but we're also hearing that it's highly unlikely he will race past 3. So to answer their question, why not?
Well, it's the crossroads of business and sport. Ahmed Zayat did a deal earlier this year with Coolmore, Ashford Stud in Kentucky, to sell the breeding rights to American Pharoah, and that deal kicks into gear January 1st, 2016. So he controls management of the horse until the end of this year, but as of January 1, that transfers over to Coolmore, and there's a possibility that they could say, well, let's run him another year, but there's so much money to be made in the breeding shed. They're in the business of breeding, so I find it highly unlikely that collectively Coolmore and Zayat would say, let's run him in 2016.
Yeah, obviously we all understand that and the risk and the realism there. But it is kind of fun to think about what could happen if he did race one more year, something like the Dubai World Cup. Who knows what he could do to cement his legacy historically. Obviously, he's got the Triple Crown. That is a feat in itself, and that will place him in the annals of horse racing. But if he had one more season as an older horse, it could really cement his legacy. It's probably not going to happen, but we have had previous Triple Crown winners race at 4 and do well. So maybe it's something to think about. All right, so I understand that you have an exclusive source on what American Pharoah might do this year.
Well, as you know, there's been a little talk recently of him possibly going up to Canterbury Park and running an enhanced version of the Mystic Lake Derby. Bob Baffert has not been saying yes to that deal. It's just been in the news this week. But the Haskell Invitational, now Bob is wild about this race. He's won it 7 of the last 14 years. It's a big purse. There's a bonus to the trainer and the owner just for showing up. He likes the hot dog stand near Monmouth Park that's so famous. Yeah. I think the Haskell Invitation, I think you can count on it now. Buy your tickets for that day, August 2nd.
Okay, but then what? Do we get to see American Pharoah in the Breeders' Cup Classic, Bob?
Well, you got to take it one race at a time.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show. Don't forget that American Pharoah, speaking of sharing him with the public, will be at Churchill Downs tomorrow night. So if you're in the area, be sure to take advantage of that opportunity or catch it on television. That's it for this week's edition. We'll see you next week on the Friday Show.